The misty green hills and craggy coasts of the Celtic lands have long been steeped in myth and legend. The ancient Celts, who once inhabited much of Europe, were deeply spiritual people who worshipped a pantheon of gods and goddesses. These deities were believed to communicate with mortals through dreams, visions, and omens. In this narrative, we will explore some of the most prominent Celtic gods and the meanings behind their dream appearances. The Morrigan, goddess of war and prophecy. One of the most powerful and feared goddesses in Celtic mythology is the Morrigan, a complex deity associated with war, death, and prophecy. Her name translates to Great Queen or Phantom Queen, and she is often depicted as a trio of goddesses: Badeb, crow; Macha, sovereignty; and Nemain, frenzy. In dreams, the Morrigan may appear as a woman with long dark hair and piercing eyes, sometimes accompanied by a murder of crows. She is known to take on various forms, such as a crow, an eel, a wolf, or a cow. If the Morrigan appears in your dreams, it could be a warning of impending danger or a call to embrace your inner warrior. One famous tale involving the Morrigan is her encounter with the hero Cuchulainn. On the eve of a great battle, the Morrigan appeared to Cuchulainn in the form of a beautiful woman and offered him her love. When he refused, she vowed to hinder him in battle. The next day, she shapeshifted into various animals to thwart Cuchulainn, but he managed to wound her each time. Finally, the Morrigan appeared as an old woman milking a cow and offered Cuchulainn 3 drinks of milk. With each drink, he blessed her, healing her wounds and earning her favor. This story illustrates the Morrigan's dual nature as both a fierce adversary and a potential ally. If she appears in your dreams, consider whether you are facing a challenge that requires you to stand your ground and fight for what you believe in. Dagda, the good god. Dagda, also known as the good god, is a father figure in Celtic mythology. He is associated with abundance, fertility, and wisdom. Dagda is often portrayed as a large, bearded man carrying a huge club that can kill with one end and bring the dead back to life with the other. He also possesses a cauldron that never runs empty, symbolizing plenty and nourishment. In dreams, Dagda may appear as a wise old man offering guidance and support. He is a reassuring presence, reminding you of your inner strength and resilience. If Dagda shares food or drink with you in a dream, it could signify a time of abundance and growth in your life. One notable story featuring Dagda takes place during the Second Battle of Mag Tuiread, where the Tuatha De Danann, the tribe of the gods, faced off against the Fomorians, a race of monstrous beings. Before the battle, Dagda encountered a Fomorian envoy who demanded that the Tuatha De Danann surrender. Dagda refused and instead challenged the envoy to a test of strength. The two took turns trying to lift a massive boulder, but neither could budge it. Impressed by Dagda's strength, the envoy agreed to a truce, buying the Tuatha De Danann time to prepare for the impending battle. This tale highlights Dagda's role as a protector and a source of strength for his people. If he appears in your dreams, it may be a sign that you have the inner resources to overcome any obstacle in your path. Brigid, goddess of healing, poetry, and smithcraft. Brigid, also known as Brigid or Brid, is a beloved goddess in Celtic mythology. She is associated with healing, poetry, and smithcraft, as well as fertility and springtime. Brigid is often depicted as a young woman with long, flowing hair, surrounded by a radiant light. In dreams, Brigid may appear as a healer, offering comfort and guidance during times of illness or emotional turmoil. She may also inspire creativity, encouraging you to express yourself through art or writing. If Brigid appears in a dream while you are working on a project, it could be a sign that you are on the right path and that your efforts will be rewarded. One well-known story about Brigid involves her cloak. It is said that a poor man once came to Brigid begging for help. She gave him her cloak, but it miraculously grew larger and larger, spreading out to cover an entire field. This tale symbolizes Brigid's generosity and her ability to provide for those in need. Another legend tells of how Brigid became the patron saint of smiths. According to the story, Brigid was the daughter of a druid and a Christian woman. She grew up learning the ways of both traditions and eventually became a nun. One day, while tending to a dying pagan chieftain, Brigid accidentally picked up a rushlight instead of a candle. The rushlight continued to burn brightly, illuminating the room without being consumed. The chieftain was so impressed by this miracle that he converted to Christianity on his deathbed and left Brigid an entire estate to use for her religious works. From then on, Brigid became associated with the sacred flame and the art of smithcraft. If Brigid appears in your dreams, it may be a call to embrace your creative side and to use your talents to help others. She reminds us that even small acts of kindness can have a ripple effect, spreading light and warmth in a world that often feels dark and cold. Lugh, the Shining One. Lugh, whose name means the Shining One, is a god of skill, craftsmanship, and heroism in Celtic mythology. He is often portrayed as a young man with golden hair, wielding a spear that never misses its target. Lugh is associated with the sun, light, and the harvest, as well as with the arts and sciences. In dreams, Lugh may appear as a guide or mentor, helping you to develop your skills and reach your full potential. He encourages excellence in all pursuits and reminds you that with dedication and perseverance, you can achieve greatness. One of the most famous stories involving Lugh is the tale of his arrival at Tara, the seat of the High Kings of Ireland. When Lugh arrived at the gates of Tara, he was refused entry by the gatekeeper, who told him that only those with a special skill could enter. Lugh proceeded to list his many talents, including carpentry, smithing, poetry, and warfare. The gatekeeper was impressed, but still refused to let him in, saying that they already had someone with each of those skills. Finally, Lugh asked if they had anyone who possessed all of those skills simultaneously. The gatekeeper had to admit that they did not, and so Lugh was granted entry into Tara. This story illustrates Lugh's mastery of multiple disciplines and his ability to adapt to any situation. If he appears in your dreams, it may be a sign that you need to cultivate a diverse set of skills to achieve your goals. Another important tale in Lugh's mythology is the Second Battle of Mag Tuiread, where he led the Tuatha De Danann against the Fomorians. Before the battle, Lugh visited each of his warriors, asking them what they would contribute to the fight. Each one pledged their unique skills and strengths, from the fearsome battle cries of the Morrigan to the healing powers of Die Insect. Lugh then used his own magical spear to single-handedly defeat the Fomorian champion, Balor of the Evil Eye, turning the tide of the battle in favor of the Tuatha De Danann. This story showcases Lugh's role as a leader and strategist, able to recognize and harness the talents of his allies to achieve victory. If Lugh appears in your dreams, it may be a call to step into a leadership role and to rally others around a common cause. Cernunnos, the Horned God. Cernunnos, also known as the Horned God, is a mysterious and complex deity in Celtic mythology. He is often depicted as a man with antlers or horns, sitting cross-legged and surrounded by animals. Cernunnos is associated with nature, fertility, and the cycle of life and death. In dreams, Cernunnos may appear as a guide through the wilderness, both literal and figurative. He reminds us of our deep connection to the natural world and the importance of honoring the cycles of the seasons. If Cernunnos appears in your dreams, it may be a call to embrace change and to trust in the wisdom of the earth. One of the few surviving stories about Cernunnos comes from the Gundestrup cauldron, a silver vessel dating back to the 1st century BCE. On one of the panels, Cernunnos is shown seated with a stag and a serpent, holding a torque, a Celtic neckring in one hand and a serpent in the other. This image has been interpreted as a representation of Cernunnos' power over the animal kingdom and his role as a mediator between the human and natural worlds. In some traditions, Cernunnos is also associated with the Wild Hunt, a ghostly procession of riders that storms through the night sky during the winter months. The Wild Hunt is often seen as a metaphor for the forces of nature, with Cernunnos leading the charge as a reminder of the raw power and untamed beauty of the wilderness. If Cernunnos appears in your dreams, it may be a sign that you need to reconnect with your primal instincts and to find balance between your human nature and your wild side. He encourages us to embrace the mysteries of the earth and to find strength in the cycles of life and death. Angus, god of love and youth, Angus, also known as Aengus Og or Aonghus, is the god of love, youth, and beauty in Celtic mythology. He is often portrayed as a handsome young man with a golden harp, surrounded by birds and flowers. Angus is associated with the spring and the renewal of life, as well as with poetry and music. In dreams, Angus may appear as a romantic figure, encouraging you to open your heart to love and to embrace the beauty in the world around you. He reminds us that love is a powerful force that can overcome any obstacle, and that true beauty comes from within. One famous story about Angus tells of his search for his true love. In the tale, Angus dreams of a beautiful maiden and falls deeply in love with her. He searches for a year and a day, unable to find her in the waking world. Finally, with the help of his father, Dagda, and the king of the sea, Manannan, Angus discovers that his dream maiden is Caer Ebermaith, a princess who has been transformed into a swan. Angus finds Caer, and the two spend a year together in the form of swans, singing sweet music that puts all who hear it to sleep. After the year is up, they return to human form and live happily together in Angus's palace, which is said to be a place of eternal youth and beauty. This story illustrates the transformative power of love and the idea that true love is worth any sacrifice. If Angus appears in your dreams, it may be a sign that you are ready to open your heart to new possibilities and to pursue your heart's desire. Another important aspect of Angus's mythology is his association with the Brú na Bóinne, a complex of Neolithic monuments in Ireland that includes the famous passage tomb of Newgrange. According to legend, Angus tricked his father, Dagda, into giving him the Brú na Bóinne as a gift. Angus asked to borrow the site for a day and a night, but in Celtic tradition, this phrase could also mean forever. Dagda agreed, not realizing the trick, and so Angus became the eternal guardian of the sacred site. This story highlights Angus's cleverness and his connection to the ancient wisdom of the Celtic people. If Angus appears in your dreams in connection with ancient monuments or sacred sites, it may be a call to explore the mysteries of the past and to seek out the timeless truths that lie hidden in the landscape. Manannan MacLír, God of the Sea. Manannan MacLír, whose name means son of the sea, is a powerful and enigmatic deity in Celtic mythology. He is the god of the sea, as well as of magic, illusion, and transformation. Manannan is often portrayed as a trickster figure, able to shapeshift and manipulate reality to his will. In dreams, Manannan may appear as a guide through the shifting tides of the unconscious mind. He reminds us that sometimes things are not as they seem, and that we must learn to navigate the ebb and flow of our emotions and intuition. If Manannan appears in your dreams, it may be a call to embrace change and to trust in your own inner compass. One of the most famous stories about Manannan involves his magical crane-skin bag. It is said that this bag could contain all the treasures of the world, yet it never grew heavy or full. Manannan used this bag to carry his most precious possessions, including his armor, his sword, and his magical cloak of mists. The crane-skin bag represents Manannan's mastery over the material world and his ability to transcend the limitations of the physical realm. Another important aspect of Manannan's mythology is his role as a psychopomp, a guide for the souls of the dead. It is said that Manannan would escort the spirits of fallen warriors to the otherworld, where they would feast and fight in eternal bliss. He is also associated with the mists that separate the world of the living from the world of the dead. And it is believed that he could use these mists to conceal himself and others from mortal eyes. If Manannan appears in your dreams as a guide or a ferryman, it may be a sign that you are navigating a period of transition or transformation in your life. He encourages you to embrace the unknown and to trust in the journey, even if the destination is not yet clear. Epona, goddess of horses. Epona is a Celtic goddess associated with horses, fertility, and abundance. Her name comes from the Gaulish word epos, meaning horse, and she was one of the most widely worshipped deities in the ancient Celtic world. Epona is often depicted as a woman riding a horse, or sometimes as a mare herself. In dreams, Epona may appear as a symbol of freedom, strength, and vitality. She reminds us of the power and grace of the natural world, and of the deep connection between humans and animals. If Epona appears in your dreams, it may be a call to embrace your own wild spirit and to trust in the wisdom of your instincts. One of the most important aspects of Epona's mythology is her role as a protector and guardian. She was invoked by soldiers, travelers, and anyone who worked with horses to ensure their safety and well-being. It was believed that Epona could grant a swift and safe journey, and that she would watch over her devotees both in this world and in the afterlife. In some traditions, Epona is also associated with sovereignty and kingship. It was believed that a rightful king must be chosen by the goddess, and that she would bless him with the strength and wisdom to rule justly. This connection between Epona and sovereignty may reflect the importance of horses in Celtic society, as they were not only essential for transportation and warfare, but also served as symbols of wealth and status. If Epona appears in your dreams in connection with leadership or authority, it may be a sign that you are being called to step into your own power and to use your strengths for the greater good. She encourages you to lead with compassion and integrity, and to always strive for harmony between the human and natural worlds. Tyrannus, god of thunder. Tyrannus is a Celtic god of thunder, the sky, and the wheel. His name comes from the Celtic word for thunder, and he is often compared to other Indo-European thunder gods such as Thor and Zeus. Tyrannus is usually depicted holding a thunderbolt and a wheel, which may represent the sun or the cycle of the seasons. In dreams, Tyrannus may appear as a powerful and commanding presence, reminding us of the raw energy and potential that lies within us all. He is a god of change and transformation, who can bring both destruction and renewal in his wake. If Tyrannus appears in your dreams, it may be a call to embrace your own inner strength and to use it to create positive change in the world. One of the most striking aspects of Tyrannus's mythology is his association with the wheel. In Celtic art, the wheel is often used as a symbol of the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth. It may also represent the turning of the seasons, the passage of time, and the eternal cycle of creation and destruction. By holding the wheel, Tyrannus may be seen as a master of these cycles, able to control and direct the forces of nature. Another important aspect of Tyrannus's character is his role as a protector and defender of his people. Like many thunder gods, he was invoked in times of war and conflict, and was believed to grant victory to those who honored him. In some traditions, Tyrannus is also associated with the Druids, the learned class of Celtic society, who served as priests, teachers, and advisors to the kings. It is said that the Druids would invoke Tyrannus's power through sacred rituals and sacrifices, and that they held the secrets of his mysteries. In conclusion, the gods and goddesses of Celtic mythology are a fascinating and diverse group, each with their own unique personalities, powers, and lessons to teach us. From the fierce warrior goddess Morrigan to the enigmatic horned god Cernunnos, these deities reflect the complex and vibrant culture of the ancient Celts. Through their appearances in dreams, the Celtic gods can offer us guidance, inspiration, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Whether we are facing challenges, seeking wisdom, or simply trying to find our place in the grand cycle of life, these timeless archetypes can help light the way. So the next time you find yourself dreaming of misty hills, sacred groves, or thunder-filled skies, pay attention to the gods and goddesses who may be reaching out to you. Listen to their stories, heed their warnings, and above all, honor the magic and mystery that they represent. For in doing so, we connect not only with the ancient past, but with the eternal truths that lie at the heart of our own souls. Who honored him? In some traditions, Tyrannus is also associated with the Druids, the learned class of Celtic society, who served as priests, teachers, and advisors to the kings. It is said that the Druids would invoke Tyrannus's power through sacred rituals and sacrifices, and that they held the secrets of his mysteries. In conclusion, the gods and goddesses of Celtic mythology are a fascinating and diverse group, each with their own unique personalities, powers, and lessons to teach us. From the fierce warrior goddess Morrigan to the enigmatic horned god Cernunnos, these deities reflect the complex and vibrant culture of the ancient Celts. Through their appearances in dreams, the Celtic gods can offer us guidance, inspiration, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Whether we are facing challenges, seeking wisdom, or simply trying to find our place in the grand cycle of life, these timeless archetypes can help light the way. So the next time you find yourself dreaming of misty hills, sacred groves, or thunder-filled skies, pay attention to the gods and goddesses who may be reaching out to you. Listen to their stories, heed their warnings, and above all, honor the magic and mystery that they represent. For in doing so, we connect not only with the ancient past, but with the eternal truths that lie at the heart of our own souls.